we put up some HardLore episode like the second the Queen died too.
Oh.
So it was like, and then there were other people being like, fucking God's Hate killed Bob Saget, HardLore killed the Queen.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure Podcast. Very, very excited to be welcoming on a California hardcore legend, I think is an appropriate title. Someone who I've had a family member on the show, but I've ever since that interview, I've been looking forward to interviewing his brother. Mr. Colin Young is here. Dude, thank you so much for joining me on the show here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know that you have done your run of many podcasts. You've been on my hit list specifically for season 3. So glad to be doing this so early in the season. And yeah, there's a lot to hit on. And yeah, I'm down to just jump straight in. Before we get into it, do you want to just do these are the bands that I play in, and this is what I do.
Oh
in
Lord.
hardcore.
Okay. Where to begin? There's all the thing is always people coming being like, how many bands you in now? Like that's like what kind of weather we having? That's
Right.
like their version of that.
Sure.
Like I don't know what to ask you, so I'll just ask you how many fucking bands you playing. I play drums in God's Hate. I sing in Twitching Tongues. What are the other ones? Somebody will have to fill in the blanks for me, but most recently, if this is going out in November, like we talked about, I play bass and sing in a band called DEADBODY.
Okay.
So maybe we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, we will definitely talk about DEADBODY.
All right.
But I'm putting in the notes here, so we're going to get to that a little later. But it's tradition here before we get into the music chats. We have to check some beverages. Guests go first here on the show, Colin. So tell the folks at home what you're going to be sipping on.
I've got a crisp red can Coke Zero here. It's not, it's not the traditional black can original recipe, but it'll do.
Your camera is trying to auto.
Yeah, no, I got it. Don't worry.
You got it. Okay.
Don't worry. I do this every day. We're good.
Yeah.
What do you got there? What are you sipping on?
So we did a podcast just before jumping on with you. So I just checked the sparkling water. So now I have to switch to caffeine. So I don't normally get to do a mug check with my bev check, but I'm just drinking like a latte, did a little AeroPress, but this
homemade
is my
latte?
Yes, of course.
Is that a Karma mug?
It is.
Karma's got mugs?
Not anymore.
Hey. Oh, good for you, man.
Yeah.
You got the 101 Karma mug.
Yeah. It's perfect for cheersing because you see it right on front, but if I hold it this way, you don't really see it as much. So
it's almost threatening to cheers with that end.
Yeah. It's like, do I
cheers? I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, I'll fuck you up. Well, speaking of cheers to you, Colin.
Likewise.
To do this interview.
Boink.
Yoink. So, Colin, any new guests that comes here on the show, I always like to get a bit of context about how they got into this whole world that we're all a part of. Again, like I mentioned, you've done a plethora of interviews, so whether you want to do the elevator version of it or here's the whole journey, whatever.
My brother probably you talk to my brother, and it's a joint story.
But I'm sure there's their own individualism in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like so essentially our older brother, the third young brother, was friends with a bunch of Connecticut hardcore guys. They would leave things laying around that Aaron, our brother, didn't give a fuck about, but we were like, give us some more of that.
Sure.
So that just kind of led to us looking at thanks lists and whatnot and finding our own way. Taylor found it a lot faster as he's quite a bit older than me. He's super old and I'm very young. I just turned 31, so legally I can do whatever I want now.
Right.
It was a little slower. I didn't pick up an instrument till I was 14, 15.
Okay.
So I saw music as Taylor's thing, kind of. It was like, all right, I'll exist as a fan,
I'll listen
like
to the records, I'll go to the shows, but I'm not like
I'll do it.
writing my
Urban
own
Discipline.
music.
Urban Discipline is up my ass, but I'm not. I don't need to use that for anything.
Sure.
That's just for me. And then I started playing drums just because honestly, this is a real thing. I loved the China cymbal.
Okay.
Loved the way it sounded.
What was the first real like China that like touched your soul? Contextually, if you took that sentence out of it, might sound weird.
No, it's fine. Danny Schuler from Biohazard, speaking of Urban Discipline up my ass, does this thing where he rides it. He most people use the China as like a bah accent, like on the snare, but he would start beats with it like get it.
Oh,
and that was very satisfying to me. So that's the first and then in the rest of the music world, like non-hardcore and stuff, like the Cranberries and the Cure use China in such a way. Like they use it like a hardcore band would.
Interesting.
Where like so like those moments were always very satisfying to me. But yeah, I loved the China cymbal so much that it was like I gotta learn how to use the rest of this stuff.
Yeah, because that was gonna be my follow-up question. Like, when did music become your thing? And it was the China cymbal.
It was the China cymbal. The China cymbal was the gateway. So the first thing I ever did was a one song. No, this is not true. I sang in a band called, what was it called? This is not good. My friend Brandon's gonna be so
Do you
mad.
need me to pull up your Discogs while you're thinking?
You will not find it on Discogs, brother. I'll tell you that.
It's that bird.
Shit. What was it called? Now this is embarrassing. It was like a metalcore type thing, and I was the singer. And like I had rhythm down, like I could do it.
Yeah.
What was it called? I'm so sorry, Brandon Allen, if you're listening to this. My oldest friend. I'm so sorry.
I think you feel bad because they're screaming at their cars like while they're listening to this podcast, being like,
only him. He's the only one in the world that remembers the name of this band. So I'm very sorry. And then I did a one song, like hardcore 7-inch, or not a 7-inch, just a demo thing where I played drums and then sang. That was called Death Valley Driver.
Okay.
And I was 14, and that was where I was like, okay, I think I can play drums enough to just do this. And then that was it.
So
that was the actual beginning.
Did it give you that confidence because that band got to like a certain level or played a certain scale of a show?
Never played a gig.
Oh, okay.
Never did anything other than
it was just the practice of doing it.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, I just recorded drums on something. I can do that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was cool.
So yeah, and like you said, like a lot of the people that might have listened to Taylor's episode in season 2, like there's a lot of similarities there. But I love the idea of just a sound of something was so intriguing to be like, I need to pick up this instrument and learn how to do that.
I needed to learn. And Taylor wanted nothing to do with me at the time. Like our mom would always be like, you guys should be in a band together. He'd be like, Mom, that's so fucking stupid. It's so lame.
I will never be in a band with my brother.
And now, and then 2 years later, it was like, all right, he can try, I guess.
Yeah.
And now our identities are just permanently linked together.
How many times do people get you guys confused? Like you get called Taylor.
Man. There was one that just happened, and Are
you gonna tell
it was at Furnace Fest last weekend. I won't say who it was because I don't want to embarrass them.
So it wasn't just like a random person attending the fest. It was like, you should know this.
Yeah,
I would expect you to know this.
I think they were a bit inebriated, for one.
Okay.
They came up to me and they were like, Taylor, it's so nice to meet you, man. And I was like, that's not me. And they were like, okay. I really loved the production on this last thing you did. And I was like, again.
It's not me.
I've never done any production. That's the other guy. And she's like, anyway, yeah. So Taylor, it's really cool to find. I was like, still not me. And then she walked away. I think maybe thought I was joking.
Right.
And one of her friends was like, yeah, man, like I like your bands, but like the production is really where it's at. And I was like, brother, I'm a different person. I swear. And he also thought it was one of the most bizarre. That was the craziest one ever because neither of them like believed me,
It's like, oh no, sorry, thank you for correcting me. It's like, no, you're
Yeah.
wrong.
No,
Check your
please.
birth certificate, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, no. So about that, the production on this cruelty thing.
Right.
I couldn't convince him.
Because we're on the topic of Taylor,
Mhm.
I think there's other examples of, twins or brother and sisters or brothers or two sisters being in a
Mhm.
band together. What is the best thing about that for you, and what is maybe the thing that annoys you the most?
It's an unconventional band dynamic
Mhm.
because we band members can stay mad at each other forever, and some brothers do too. But
Mhm.
in our case, it's really always been like if we get into disagreement, it's like fuck you, what's for dinner? Is really that's like the joke that it always is because it's
Yeah.
like you're a piece of shit and I hate you and I don't ever want to work with you again. You want to go to Wingstop? Like
Right.
that's the eternal back and forth.
Right.
So it's like we can never really stay genuinely mad at each other. So that is very helpful.
Mhm.
But then I don't know. There's no real cons other than I don't know.
People at
It's hard
Furnace
to
Fest confusing you.
yeah, it's like I'm getting confused from them often.
Right.
But in reality, there's also like you're a family member is always there,
Mhm.
So you're kind of on better behavior than you would be if it was just like a group of strangers or a group of just regular friends. Like, I just feel like we've always kept each other in check in a more responsible way whenever
Sure.
we're touring together, which is nice.
Mhm.
And we're both like kind of pretty boring people in terms of like activity wise.
Yeah.
Him much more so.
Yeah.
But on tour, we're both just like we want to be horizontal, you know. We'll do whatever it takes. We don't care how many men, women, and children need to die to get it.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like, I have one brother and one sister, and like one kind of knows about this shit, but like never really picked up with it, and then the
sure.
other one is like not. But I think that's always been a cool thing to see when people get to do it together, and I think I'm sure it's changed. Obviously, like you both grew up, you both have your own sense of individualism, and you live in different places now. Versus like you're having a band argument, and then you're like sleeping, in
Yeah, no,
different
and that was
opposite
how it
rooms or
was
whatever.
for years. I lived at the pit,
Hmm.
so like sleep therapy, drums, I tracked in the living room, in
Right.
my boxers, and we would be practicing at 3 a.m. in my boxers. 'Cause it's just like I'm at home, we're doing this. So that was another unconventional dynamic that was like a benefit is that we were like the other main mind of your band is 15 feet away from you at all times. So if
Right.
you have a riff in the middle of the night and you're like, we got to do this right now. And then he's the engineer. So it's like we have a demo of the thing 2 hours later.
Hmm.
That was nice.
Yeah.
But it's different now. It's definitely I get scared writing new stuff now.
How you mean?
It's interesting. I don't know how to start anymore, you know? There's like an expectation that I put on myself creatively
Okay.
that if I start writing something and it's not like immediately as sick as I think it can be, I just don't do it.
Hmm.
Like the amount of awesome songs I've started and like scrapped completely because they aren't better than the last one I wrote I've like forgotten more great albums than I've written at this point, I feel like.
That's interesting because I think a common word that I heard you use in interviews that you would do like almost 10 years ago to like even a couple years ago is like always writing, like be proud of writing weird music. And we're going to get into some of the
And I
bands
am.
and
I for
stuff
sure
that
am.
you have done, like as far as your, body of work. But like, it's interesting to hear you feel like, I don't know if you're saying you feel uninspired, but you feel like there's something that's blocking closing that song.
I might be over inspired at the moment.
Okay.
Like I want to do too many things, therefore I end up doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Doing those wrestling themes that I got to do were very cool and frustrating, because you have to take notes from non-musicians.
Was that the
And it's
first time you like had feedback from
yeah, totally, absolutely.
uneducated individuals?
Because in no other world does that happen.
No.
Other than like a film score, where
Right.
the director's like, "Can this be more dramatic?" And you're like, "Fuck yeah, that's why you hired me."
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's like you have to format like 1 minute of music that's going to be heard on TV realistically, and then do whatever after that. Whatever's after that first minute is just for you. That's just to be like, okay, I wrote a song that I like. But yeah, you kind of have to meet this vision of this person that in most cases doesn't know shit about music.
Right. So when
And you can't explain to them like you're wrong, because then
right.
they'll be like, okay, well, I'll ask somebody else to do it.
Right.
It's a weird world, man.
Is the feedback that they're giving like about the like specific things about the music, or like you said, like can you were mentioning if it was a film score, is like, can this be
It's
more dramatic?
different.
Is
So
it like I don't
when
like
it's
this part specifically?
yeah, when it's like structural because of their actual physical entrance, that's like easy. It's like, yeah,
Sure.
you have your vision, you have your choreography basically,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got to score that choreography. But when it's like when they come at you with like, I don't know why I don't like this, but I don't have anything to offer because I don't know anything about music.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's like, all right, I'll just do it again. Yeah, I don't. It's a strange world. That song I got to do with Emma was just like coincidentally uh, a good wrestling song,
Mm-hmm.
but more importantly, it was just kind of fun to build a song
Mm-hmm.
for her to sing on. That was
Yeah.
just good exercise. It was like, all right, I still got it.
I've talked about this on the podcast before, but like I grew up playing a lot of the Halo games, and I credit a lot of that. The second game specifically with like the Steve Vai guitar work and the fact that they worked with like Breaking Benjamin and Hoobastank and like a lot of like alternative new metal bands to like a reason that like I've just been so engrossed in this. Um, I listened to an interview with Marty O'Donnell, who did all the scoring when Halo was made by Bungie, and he said that there was executives at Microsoft that were like giving him feedback on his renditions and his music, and they're like, yeah, like everything sounded great, Marty, but can we like chill out with this crazy guitar music and like the dive bombs and all this shit? And he pretty much told them to like go fuck themselves. And like
Right.
to me, that's like you're like going to like the people that report to Bill Gates at like Microsoft when it comes to
Yeah, I mean,
this
the thing is,
music.
he's probably contracted.
Hmm.
He's bulletproof. If he gets fired, he's still getting paid.
True.
Uh,
Yeah.
in my case, I'm not getting paid either way for these, and there's a billion other guys that can do it. So it's like if I want to do this thing to build the resume,
Right.
I gotta just like bite my lip and give it hell.
Yeah. So is that the why behind like taking on some of that work that might be like pro bono now, is like to kind of get your foot in the
Yeah, it's like
door?
I did it. I wrote. I've had 5 songs on TV consistently.
Yeah.
Um, it's like the main guy, Chris Jericho's band, and me in terms of like
Sure.
most played on the show. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I think this gets into like a topic that I feel like I definitely want to try to have Brody King on the podcast for one of these days to talk specifically about the world of and connection point between wrestling and hardcore.
I mean, now it's never been closer because of mostly him. Like
Yeah,
this
but also
guy that,
stuff that you're doing clearly has
and that's via him, you know?
yeah,
Like
sure.
I that wouldn't have happened if he didn't bring me into that world.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because he's the same guy. He's not like he's some like turned into a star and became some dickhead who's not gonna like
Sure.
who's just gonna be in the backstage the whole time. No, he's still in the pit.
Mhm.
He's still doing merch
He's
himself.
still swan diving onto people
Still,
at Sound
he's
Fury.
definitely still doing that. So like that's the thing is like some normal hardcore kid sees that and they're like, that guy's on TV. Like what
Mhm.
is that? What do you mean? Then why is he doing this?
Sure.
And even he would be like, I don't know why. I don't know, but I'm
Wh
having fun.
what do you think 5 years from now is gonna be, like, happening because of all this overlap?
You never know, man. Uh,
But if
ooh,
you have to guess or, like, make a prediction. Are we
uh,
gonna see more hardcore kids becoming pro wrestlers? Are we gonna
I
see
mean,
more
I feel
pro
like
wrestlers
that's
at the
happening
mosh
now.
pit?
I doubt that aspect. And
It's
there's
almost unfair if that was to happen.
kind of, but their bodies are their job, you know?
True.
If they get injured, it's like, okay, I don't get paid for 6 months now.
Mhm.
But there's this like really jacked dudes, you know, who are super jacked and that's been their one lane in life, their whole life.
Mhm.
They get into music at like 33 because
Mhm.
they were too busy being jacked, you know? So it's like when you ask them what kind of band they like, they're like, I don't know, K-rock. Okay. So they're getting to music late, so there's no line of like genres to them. So it's like
Right.
it's kind of pure, you know. There's no
Mhm.
boxes. They just like what they like, and they can't. And if you're writing songs for them, they can't explain to you why they like it, but they do.
Right.
So
Uh,
yeah, I don't know if like far into adulthood wrestlers are going to be getting into hardcore, but we'll see, man.
yeah. Yeah,
I
I
think hardcore kids becoming wrestlers is in the next 5 years. Oh my god,
yeah.
there's going to be a boom.
Yeah. There's gonna be, like, a whole, like, squad dedicated
Yeah,
to that.
and if you need music, hit me up.
Yeah. Well, I feel like one of the last things I could ask you on that topic is, like, what's the mindset or, like, way that you're trying to frame a song that is gonna be used as, like, an entrance theme song, if anything, versus something that's like, "Oh, these parts make sense and this breakdown hits."
Mm.
Like, what's the difference in mindset that you have to take?
The character, you know, it's all them. Kind of what their image and uh, their presence
Mhm.
says to me musically, and trying to match that, find something that fits, find something that they like and that fits. You
Mhm.
know, it's got to be like I want them to get fired up to it when they hear it and be like, "Yeah, this is my song. I want to use this forever," rather than just being
Mhm.
like, "Ah, yeah, this is the song I use."
Yeah. Maybe for this
Um,
year, but then we'll, like, scrap it
yeah,
next
and
year and
I
then
don't want that. And if that's your vibe, then
yeah.
don't hit me up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's
That's
a
a
crazy.
tall order to, like, create something that's gonna be that person's song forever.
It is, especially, and you know, recently one of them got taken off TV, and like they like chopped and screwed the intro and put it with this other song, and didn't. Nobody's like talked to me about that, and I feel like in no man, I might get in trouble for this one, but in no
We can
other
cut it if you
creative
want.
world can you do that
Right.
with somebody's art. You know,
Mhm.
like it's just not a thing. But in wrestling, it's just like, it is what it is.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Like, are you cheesed about it? Are you, like, mad?
I was day one, like just hearing it and being like, oh, was a little jarring.
Sure.
But it is what it is, man.
It's not that, like, I've done anything, to that level, but I've definitely, like something that I try like, in addition to doing this podcast, I also film bands as well, and sometimes when I do, like, an entire festival, I like to do, like, a next day teaser of all the footage that I've captured,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's and sometimes I'm trying to find a right song from a band that's played that festival that has, like, the hits that I can just, like, cycle through all the band logos as quickly as possible.
Sure.
Um, but I still want to have that like teaser be like super quick. So either like it fades the music down, or I'm just taking the last hit of the song and just kind of like adding it. But I've never thought that would be in a way like it's never been a degree where I'm like moving entire parts around.
I don't think that what you're saying is offensive at all.
Sure.
You're building a trailer to present this full thing.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not the same as like
oh, this is version 2 of this, and you're like, I didn't
yeah,
even touch
like,
this.
hey, you know that thing you wrote? Like, I'm gonna use the first half in mine.
Right.
And I'm not.
Oh, did they add stuff as well?
They just made it a different. They took the intro and attached it to the old version.
Okay.
And again, I'm not like salty about it. I'm speaking objectively. Like
Yes.
this is what just happened. So like, and people have asked me like, what happened to the song? And I just haven't said anything about it. But like, because it's not a big deal. And even now, as I say it, it's like whatever. But like, it is interesting because in no other world does that work. It's but it is what it is, man. I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So to topic change a little bit and to jump back to one of the first things that we were talking about, as far as like, you mentioned how the China symbol was like, hearing that was like a whole thing. And I think you mentioned it, but I think I might have interjected where you said the splash was next. And something I wanted to talk to you about was the God's Hate splash section. Because when the new album was dropping, you doing that drum playthrough was like an initial way to like release that song. Talk to me about writing that specific section, and did you have to add the amount of splashes and other symbols that went into those creative decisions?
That was like written mentally with the splash pit placements there.
Yes.
So it was like I almost bought splashes around what I knew I wanted to do. Like, okay, I wanted to have one that sounds different, so I'm not hitting the same one each time it's happening.
Right.
Yeah, just little things you can do as a drummer or as a musician to make a part stand out or make it different. Why not do it?
Right.
I do want 10% royalties on anybody that bought a splash symbol in the last year, though. 10%. I want my.
Doesn't matter if you're in hardcore or not.
I'm coming. If you heard that and bought a splash, 10%.
10%.
I'm coming.
There's guaranteed like a dozen people listening to this podcast that owe you 10%.
Hey, it's fine. I'm down with it. But 10%. That was, I'm sure my brother told you about in his episode about a band called Grimlock. That was like the first hardcore band. So it's the same for me.
Are you as obsessed with Grim? Because I know Taylor's obsessed.
I'm probably like 30% as obsessed, but that's still like,
I feel like
they're still the first hardcore band I ever heard.
Sure. But you don't have a Grimlock tattoo like he does.
I don't have a Grimlock tattoo.
Okay.
I feel like he got a Grimlock tattoo, then covered it with a Grimlock tattoo. So that's crazy.
He got a second for you.
Yeah, I didn't do that. But the Mountain of Power is the first hardcore song I ever heard. And they have this part that's just like a jun 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 jun, and they hit this shitty little China.
Right.
Like that sounds. It's like a 10-inch broken.
Dumpster fire, whatever.
Straight up, like my first cymbal pack China.
Right.
And they use it like that in that part, and it was basically I wanted to do like a polished, huge version of that kind of vibe. But yeah, that was Grimlock inspired.
Okay. Since that, have you regretted the fact that you have to haul around all these splashes for shows that you're playing?
I'd be hauling. I got to bring like a proprietary stand anywhere I go just to set those up. Yeah, that sucks for sure. Because and for a while when my left hand was broken, I couldn't do certain things with it drum wise. So I had this China, so I couldn't hit the snare with my left hand. So anything I needed to do over here, I did over here. So I had a second China over here.
Right.
And that was badass for playing at home. But hauling around like a third extra China stand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, this is I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I just feel bad walking around the show like you got a third. Anybody have a third boom stand I can use? And it's.
Oh, did this guy not bring his hardware? It's like, no, he brought his hardware, but like,
Oh yeah, he did. He needs more. It's funny because if you go to anything other than a hardcore fest, like a guy having 2 splashes is almost like normal.
Right.
2 splashes and 2 Chinas is like, yeah, of course I do. I have a third one in my bag just in case. But at like FYA or something, I look like a fucking asshole. So
yeah, the stage is small enough, and you're just like really taking up that center area with as many stands as possible. It's mine.
And it's like, and I have 10 minutes to do it.
Right. Right.
So it's, I feel like a dickhead, but it sounds sick.
Yeah.
Now it's like, that's part of it,
Yeah.
Like that's in the DNA of the song, so I can't change it.
Mm-hmm. That's something I've noticed too. Is that, and what's the word? Ambidextrous, like as far as playing this way or playing this way? Like, have you always
open-handed is what's
open-handed? Okay.
Was.
Yeah.
And that was because, so mine makes a little more sense because I am left-handed.
Okay.
So I'm playing open-handed on a right-handed kit because I lead with my left. So that's like, that makes sense. Taylor, normal Joe Schmo right-handed motherfucker who plays open-handed. And when I started playing drums, Taylor was the only drummer I'd ever seen.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I guess this is just what you do.
Sure.
I had no idea it was wrong or weird or anything.
Yeah. And
now it's like
no one plays.
Now it's like, but it's a thing. Like people are like, "Yo, you play crazy open-handed." I'm like, dude, if I played the other way, it would be the worst thing you ever heard.
It's so funny that people just, despite being right or wrong, will figure out a way to do it, and then that just becomes the norm. And
it becomes like what is unique about you.
Totally, yeah. There's a band from Nashville. I'm pretty sure you'd be aware of them, called Orthodox, and their guitar player Austin plays guitar upside down, and he's left-handed. So his heaviest string is
at the right-handed guitar upside down.
It's a right-handed guitar that he flips upside down. It's the wildest thing. We spent like 25 minutes of his podcast just talking about that.
What a fucking pain in the ass that must be.
And he only did it because he was like reading tabs upside down. He was like, "Oh, this is where the zero," and then that's how he plays guitar. And he's like one of the best guitar players I know. So
that's fucked.
Yeah.
Honestly, sorry for this man.
Sorry for learning.
Good for him. He's making it work.
Good for you. Yeah.
But holy shit, if I was that deep into an instrument and they're like, "You're playing the whole thing upside down," I'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna find a new hobby."
Yeah. At least you can't play drums upside down because you would that.
I would have found a fucking way.
You brought up FYI or FYA, FYI for your information. Oh, well,
I call it that every year.
You call it FYI Fest?
Yeah, I just subconsciously, like, I'm going FYI.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. What was it like finding out Bob Saget passed away during your set?
Dude, I was heartbroken. I was devastated.
This
is right after Norm Macdonald had died.
Sure. Yeah.
Who is like, he's like my god. And Bob, and he's like Bob Saget was the first comedian Norm Macdonald ever saw. So he worshipped Bob, and then they became the best of buddies.
Yeah. Which
led to that incredible roast segment where he wrote like soft roasts him with these like 1950s joke book jokes. Which is now like the most iconic thing that's ever happened at one of these fucking roasts. So it was heartbreaking because I was like watching Norm clips every day at that point.
Sure.
When Bob passed away, and like half of them are about Bob or with Bob. So it was like the other half of this tragic thing happened. It was I was very, very sad.
Yeah.
What a crazy way to learn that too.
And it was like mid-set. It wasn't like before you guys went on.
People kept yelling it. And then Martine on the mic said, "Rest in peace, Bob Saget." And I was like, did he just fucking say rest in peace? Like,
you could see your response in the drum cam. You're like, God. What?
I was so confused.
Was there a moment that you were so pissed that you couldn't keep playing?
No, because the show must go on.
Right. Of course.
And I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, you're like,
I don't know what's rumor.
what kind
and
of
what's
joke this is.
exactly.
The
These
queen
people
is
know.
dead? No, the
They
show
must
must go
know
on.
I love Bob Saget.
Right.
That's so yeah. But yeah, it was real. Unfortunately,
Has that's probably the first and only time you've gotten news like that while playing.
something else happened.
During that set or just in general?
We put up some HardLore episode like the second the Queen died too.
Oh.
So it was like, and then there were other people being like, "Fucking God's Hate killed Bob Saget, HardLore killed the Queen." Who I feel terrible for is Candy.
The band?
Yeah. So they announced their album the day that the like abortion leak happened.
Oh, okay.
And then on the actual release day of their album, abortions were like criminalized. Just fucking spending 2 years on this thing for abortion to be taken, for women's rights to be stripped. So it's like, yeah, of course nobody's gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brutal, man.
Yeah, it's always it's interesting as a spectator when you see two bands posting about the same, like 2 albums, or like I see like it happens all the time, like as far as the daily hardcore real estate and like where the
Sure.
attention is going as far as like,
It's just how it goes though,
Yeah. Well, and it's not even like 2 hardcore things competing. It's like you said, it could be
Just
canning
2 events.
2 events.
Yeah,
One
like
is
I
like global
said
and one is like within this weird little subculture.
exactly. I said recently in something that like the day Twitching Tongues and Love There Is No Law came out, ASAP Ferg's Trap Lord came out.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
like everywhere I looked, I saw Trap Lord. And I was like, what the fuck is this Trap Lord thing? And now it's like one of my favorite records. I listen to it all the time.
When you listen to it, you think of like the early days of Twitching Tongues?
Absolutely. It makes me nostalgic because it's
Yeah.
like I checked this out for a reason. So it's like I can always know that like that they share the same birthday,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah.
Which is next year.
Oh.
10 years.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a great segue because definitely wanted to talk Twitching Tongues with you. I think, going back to an earlier point that I said, like you are someone that firmly believes to write weird music.
Yeah,
music
man. There's no rule. The bands that remember that there are no rules are the bands that end up being the fucking coolest.
Yeah. So I guess like as a whole, do you think Twitching Tongues was early as a band?
I think we were right on time in terms of changing the general landscape.
Okay. Yeah.
Like a lot of bands can do whatever they want today because we were fucking nailed to a cross 12 years ago or whatever.
Sure.
I think we were right on time because Trapped Under Ice killed melodic hardcore. That's a fact. That era was killed by my mates in TUI.
Yeah.
And then I think we killed stigma of like weirdness,
Yeah, I think that's because I think Twitching Tongues respectfully wouldn't be as cool as a band if it like started in 2020.
Yeah, time and place, it's like we would fit right in, and that doesn't make sense.
I feel like there's more lore that's respected in that way, that you guys took the punches of being that weird band that allowed allowed other people to run with it.
We never stopped taking them either. That's the thing,
right?
But that never ended because halfway through the band's career, they came from our own battalion.
Sure,
they came from our own.
They weren't even behind enemy lines.
No, they were. It was friendly fire. Front of us.
Yeah.
So it never ends, but it's that's just how some bands never cross that threshold. And some bands stop after they make their like iconic record,
Sure.
They just never write another thing, so they never have to worry about taking the chance of following that up, especially following it twice brilliantly, like we did. Yeah, it's interesting now now like if we play shows again, I don't know what songs to play. I don't know what's sick now. Because I it's been so long. It's almost been 4 years since the last one. So I think the songs that we'd be expected to play now versus then would be very different.
Yeah. It's not as much like how Terror, like they'll play new stuff, but there are certain situations where like we're just gonna play the hits.
They know their hits, but also it's so impossible to compare yourself to Terror because like their longevity is unlike no other. Because there is at least one thing per new, like every time they put out a new album, there is a new iconic Terror anthem born.
Yes.
Like that now, they're on the latest one. There's like fucking 4 of them. The Corpse Grinder song they can play forever. That first song they can play forever. They're just finally putting Terror Crew in a song. Fucking 20 years later, it's like, what were you waiting for? We all wanted to say it. Just do it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And their songs are much shorter than ours.
Sure.
So
There's
if
more
they get
commitment
30 minutes,
for
exactly.
the touch shit. Yeah.
If they get 30 minutes, they can play their fucking 2 first albums back to back and the new hits.
Sure.
We got to pick 7. It's hard.
Since we're on that topic, I always like to ask this question to people that have like a large body of work. So I think Twitching Tongues specifically, what is the most overrated song in your opinion, and what's the most underrated Twitching Tongues song?
I mean, I it's interesting because it's like I've just kind of made peace with all the songs that I previously would have said are overrated. You know, like I just hear a different band in them. Like Insane and Inhumane was our first like hit in this world. And we became a different band so quickly because of how long Sleep Therapy took to come out, that we were like resentful towards it. It was recorded in 2010, released in 2012. And when it was released, and Love There's No Law was done. So like by the time people were finally hearing this and owning the record, we had this new thing.
You're already on to the next thing.
Our identities had changed.
Yes.
And I was fucking 18 years old on the first one. So it was like I was a boy. I was an undeveloped lad. And then I was 20 or 21 maybe by the time And Love There's No Law was like finished. So like the difference between you being an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old is pretty monumental.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Physically, creatively, mentally. So that would have been my answer before. I just think it still kind of has to be. But when I listen to it now, it rocks. The lyrics are fucking terrible, but I was a kid, so it's like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
And some people still hear those lyrics and go, "This is what I'm talking about. Like, I relate to this." Some people have it tattooed on them. That ain't for me to judge or say anything, because if it resonated with anybody for any reason, it ceases to be. That's not mine anymore. That's
Right.
yours. You know. So I respect that. There's nothing I can say about that. Underrated. Where do I begin?
That list is longer than overrated.
That list is very long. I will say Crucifixion, the last song on Disharmony, is like on Spotify or anything, has the lowest streams of anything.
Oh, okay.
And that's like a top 3 to 5 for me. If I had it my way, that would be track 1, and we'd be opening and closing with it.
Interesting.
So
okay.
That's my pick.
Maybe you need some person to I
need a fucking TikTok dancer.
Yeah, you need like a dog face, dude on a skateboard to drink some ocean spray to that song.
I need some motherfucker drinking cranberry juice talking about the propaganda of Jesus Christ. You know, that's what I need.
Please, anyone listening this, please find that original video and then just splice
And
those two things
put
together.
them together.
You put them together. Why do you hate grocery shopping?
Oh my god, dude, I fucking hate it so much. I think just when I'm at home, I'm like, I would eat this, I want to eat this, I want to eat this and this. When I'm there, it's so overwhelming. There's too many options where that I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna get these 8 things that I get every time, so I can make the same 3 things that I make every week. I'm a man of convenience, you know. I was a latchkey kid. Taylor and I both were. We ate bagel bites every day.
Yep.
So that's what I like. You know, I like convenience rather than I don't have the dog in me to that like knows what specific ingredients need to go in what. It's my one flaw, you
Right.
know? My one flaw is I just don't and I'm not terrible at cooking.
Right.
I'm pretty bad at it, but I could be worse.
Yeah.
We'll put it there. I get anxious when I'm there. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to end.
Yeah.
I spend a fucking more $1 billion every time I do it. So
I think
don't
when
know.
I heard you bring this up, I want to say it was on your interview with Kat from Scowl.
You're right, yes.
And I don't even know like how it transitioned from that, because it might have been from talking about the Sonic show and then talking about grocery shopping. And
she was like just grocery shopping before we recorded. Or Bo
oh
was.
yeah, something like that. And you're like,
Now it's like
I got a bone to pick with grocery shopping.
Yeah, I hate it.
I
I truly hate it. If only there was a sponsor out there that we could get that could alleviate that.
I mean, there definitely is a few meal kits, but I don't
I
like.
know.
Would you feel overwhelmed with a meal kit even?
Oh, dude, no. I had Blue Apron for a while. I mean,
Okay.
I might be. I don't want to give your editor any work. Yeah, I had a service for a while that I loved it. I love being told what to do in that sense. Because here's the thing, I'm a Lego man. You know, I love building the Lego set.
Okay.
And when I got everything in front of me, and a meal, I get to eat the Lego set after. That's huge. But when I got to do it on my own and like fucking gather my own,
yeah,
bricks,
you don't want to go to the Lego store and hand pick everything because you feel like you're gonna make it wrong.
I want the 1,000-piece Millennium Falcon, and then I want to fucking eat it out. That's so much to ask. Shout out to some service out there.
Some service.
Please.
You don't want to give them too much free airplay?
No. Well, there's one that we might be
I see.
getting free airplay from. So
I understand. Yeah. Well, if the past person wants to sponsor our podcast, that's an option too.
Exactly.
Or the current one, either or. I'm not picky. But I do feel the same way that you do, because I feel defeated after spending so much money at the grocery store and coming back and feeling like, what do I have actually to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's so exhausting that you get home after doing it, and now you're like, I gotta spend an hour using all this now,
right? And then
I gotta clean it for another hour.
Yeah, clean up.
It's bullshit, man.
It's bullshit. If there's any financial, what's that?
You fuck with DoorDash or what, dude?
We got do you have Skip the Dishes down in the States?
What?
Okay, so here's your little Canadian education
I almost
segment.
just did a fucking spit take.
So Skip the Dishes is our original like meal like delivery service.
Wow.
And
in the UK they have Deliveroo.
Deliveroo?
Deliveroo. Just ordered Deliveroo. I thought that was so fucking funny.
That sounds like it should be out of Australia, and all the food comes by kangaroo. Yeah.
From the pouch.
Yeah, just here's
your ass.
No, yeah, Skip the Dishes is a Canadian thing, and I think it actually started before DoorDash. So
yeah, right.
It was all right.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I'll fact check it. And
you know what's crazy is, so when I was like 50, or I was pretty young. This is way before Postmates. I basically had the idea for Postmates, and my girlfriend at the time was like, nobody would ever fucking use this.
Okay.
Nobody's paying a premium for something they can just go get.
Mm-hmm.
When, mind you, this is 10 years before Postmates, but I feel like they could have been still working on the like tech or whatever already.
Right.
But basically, I was robbed. I should be a more billionaire.
What was the spur of that idea? Were you just sitting
I
like on
wanted
the couch?
McDonald's. I didn't want to go get it. So I
There's a
mean,
problem.
yeah, I
Fine.
didn't get to do it, but thank God somebody did.
Yeah.
You know?
You didn't have to go through the bullshit of like doing the infrastructure and
Ugh.
figuring out all that. You just
No.
get to.
I
reap
should
from the
get a
benefits of it.
lifetime membership for sure for having thought of it.
Mhm.
But
You and so many other people that claim
no,
they've thought of Postmates.
not me. It's on record with my ex-girlfriend. If you hit her up, I won't
This
tell you
just
her name,
in.
but she knows.
Jordan, lovely producer of the show, just put in our notes that DoorDash started in 2013. Skip the Dishes started in 2012.
Yeah, but when was Postmates?
Jordan, please.
That was I'm a recent DoorDash convertee.
Okay.
Okay. I like the Dash Pass benefits a little more than I like the Postmates Unlimited or whatever. And then they got bought by Uber, and I'm not fucking with any of that.
Wait, Postmates got bought by Uber?
Yeah, Postmates and Uber are like part of the same thing.
So Postmates was 2011.
See?
Okay.
Could have been much earlier.
Yeah.
If my ex-girlfriend had listened.
Speaking of stolen ideas from Colin, you made a very beautiful piece of art in the height of the pandemic with a number of friends spoofing on Gal Gadot. Yeah. And I think we all enjoyed it. It definitely helped lift. It definitely lifted so many spirits, especially of hardcore kids. Here's the thing: do you watch The Boys?
Yeah, I love The Boys. Yeah, they did that. Was that the new season?
Yeah, it was the new season. And the minute it started, I was like, Colin Young has already done this.
I did, but I feel like that was probably shot a year ago for one. But I did it a year before that. But I feel like there's no way anybody from The Boys fucking writing team did it. But also, days after mine, I saw them going up left and right. So I feel like people were doing it with their friend circles, but they weren't organizing an elite unit of hardcore musicians and wrestlers.
Right. Yeah. It was like, this is a bit of a quote unquote trend. Yeah. And maybe you just started a domino effect that they were like, hey, we should put this in the show. Domino. You were the first domino. Well, technically Gal Gadot was the initial.
Oh no. She was Pizza Hut. I was the first domino.
It's fair.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, I watched that. I was like, I almost think there needs to be a comparison of the Gal Gadot one, yours, and then theirs, all side by side.
You know, it's funny. I think like the next day or later in the day that it was posted, like Smash Mouth was like, awesome, guys. And that's when I was like, fuck this video. Fuck this idea. Like, I'm making fun of you, Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
You know, this song fucking sucks. Then you hear it and you're like, you watch Shrek and that motherfucker hits and you can't help it. But so yeah, the song doesn't suck, but like,
just having any level of interaction with them took the wind out of it.
It was just like, come on, you guys, I'm not laughing with Smash Mouth.
Yeah, I'm laughing at you.
No? Yes.
Like
they're undeniably, there was an era of musicianship where this is like, I have firsthand accounts of this, of people being told by producers and writers, like, remember guys, we're in the Smash Mouth era. So like, maybe dial it back into musicianship a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like maybe make this a little dumber. So it's like they objectively shit on like an entire era of music. So, man, didn't expect to go anti-Smash Mouth. Shout out Shrek though.
Yes,
the whole franchise, really.
The whole franchise?
I would say
because
Shrek 2. Shrek 2 is a superior movie.
How many Shreks are there? Are there?
I think there's 4.
Because
5 is in production now.
Really? I guess they still have I feel like some of those are like, we can't think of new ideas, so we just need to keep
I mean,
going on their own.
if you could print $1 billion for
Why wouldn't you?
why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's like when people are like, when are they gonna stop making these Marvel movies? When they stop
Making money.
profiting obscene amounts of money. When there's when there's one flop, they'll stop. Like Solo, the Han Solo movie, doubled the money, but like that wasn't considered a success, so they changed their entire process.
Right.
Yeah, just don't. If people stop going to them, then they'll stop making them. But
Jordan says there's 6 Shrek movies, including the 5th one.
Is there? There's Puss in Boots 2 is coming out, or it might be 3. But there's a trailer for
Shrek the Halls is a movie.
That doesn't count. We don't count Shrek the Halls.
The Christmas version does not count.
That's non-canon. But the new Puss in Boots, I'm telling you, listen, crucify me if you want. It looks great.
This is funny that you brought this up because I've been on a because of the new Lord of the Rings show that's on Prime right now. I've been on like a going into Lord of the Rings lore YouTube channels and just learning everything about just like different things. And I was watching.
Are you caught up in Rings of Power?
I haven't watched the one that dropped yesterday. Okay.
Holy Lord.
Holy Lord.
Best one for sure.
Okay, yeah. Because I was like, okay, we're 5 episodes deep. It's good, but I need that like
6 is wild. There's a couple events, and I mean this show's gonna be fucking over by the time it airs. Who cares? But Rings of Power is good. Basically, episode 6, there's like 2 very significant events.
Okay.
That kind of put some pieces in place. I love where the show's going. Haters be damned.
I think it's always like the nervousness of certain just like entities that I grew up with that have been just misused by just corporate fill in the blank. So Star Wars being like one of the biggest ones for sure for me. Lord of the Rings, like The Hobbit was like, what is this should just be one movie.
First one's decent.
The first one's okay. It just gets worse and worse.
For sure, wild. But I've heard that the newer like re-release versions are better. I haven't seen them.
Yeah, but where I was going with that is I watched this whole video about all the dragons of Middle Earth and specifically Smog, and then like it's like being explained. I was like, oh, the dragon in Shrek is just Smog.
Yeah.
After a bear, not after a bear, right? But yeah. But just the only difference is that dragon's just horny for a donkey.
For a donkey, right? That which is that's high fantasy. So who's to turn their nose up to it? Not me.
Speaking of TV and other things, I heard that you helped work on Big Brother.
Oh yeah, dude. Many years I worked in production. I don't know when my NDA expires, but
there's certain things that you can't even. It's not like I'm gonna ask you specific things about different seasons from that show.
Well, then we're good.
Yeah.
I think 5 seasons I worked on it.
Okay.
Canada is a different so the US one, they're like, yo, Canada's the best one. So I guess Big Brother Canada is like a much bigger deal, or maybe just like a better show. But it's crazy, man.
Has that always been something that? Because I remember, I'm remembering now in Taylor's interview, like, your dad like did a lot of like different things within like production, more on the music side. But like, how did you even like get into doing some of that?
That's all. That's all him. So it's kind of less on the music side actually, because he's like a technical manager. Like if you're watching sporting events or anything like that, there's a truck in the back that everything is going to and coming from.
Right.
My dad like builds that truck, basically. Like that's his job. And monitors it to make sure everything's good. And then does the same thing in the like non-truck versions. Like Jimmy Kimmel will have just an office that's like that.
Yeah.
He builds that room and just knows.
He builds the command center of all that.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's his shit. And then operates it and troubleshoots it and maintains it.
Mhm.
And so he was like the god of that world for a while.
Mhm.
So I guess there's some nepotism there in that in all of entertainment there is. So it's like, and I had the lowest job you can have on Big Brother, so there's that.
What's
And
the
then as
lowest
soon as
job?
they production assistant,
Oh, okay.
I was a literal fucking ditch digger there, dude. But I got to the point where like they loved me there and they wanted to promote me, but then I kept going on tours.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
So you
I
could have
fucking
climbed the ladder.
100%.
Mhm.
I could have been a union fucking guy, editor or something. And now, but I'm loving the freelance stuff,
Right.
editing a podcast.
What's
I'm
your
like, I can't come, guys. I got to edit the pod.
what's maybe the 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 wildest experience on that show that has always stuck with you?
A lot of boobs. It's like if this person is on TV right now, right?
Mhm.
I'm looking at boobs against my will because I have to like clean this section of the camera ring where there's boobs at, where
Oh,
it's
the
like I
boobs are on the camera lens? Is that what you're
no, they're
saying?
just like no, like they're there through this window
Okay.
in this house that they live, and I just happen to be working across the window. And it's like
Sure.
they know and are understanding. But my favorite thing ever was on season 16, which was my first season. There's this girl Victoria who was notorious for going to the other side of the house to rip the loudest farts you ever heard in your life. So there's like her farting was the best part of my job because it was basically if so Big Brother is really interesting because there's these live feeds that you can pay to subscribe to.
Oh, okay. So you don't
They're
have to
kinda
wait to tune in. You could just
yeah, you're just watching. Well, then you there's aspects of there's like a live show once a week and then other stuff where they cut the feeds.
Oh, okay.
But most days of the week, the feeds are there and they're just living.
Mhm.
And so it's like the live feeds see these farts sometimes, but there were some like Colin exclusive farts that happened
Damn.
that were truly an honor to have been a part of.
And like what's the what's making these farts so special? Like
They're-
because you're on the other side of it, so you're not
I'm on the other
the
side of it, but here's
smell
the
isn't
thing.
a factor here.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
The sound is just incredible
Yeah.
for one. But for like they are locked in this house together. They don't get to leave
Mhm.
for 3 months. So you have to imagine for hours a day they're holding farts.
Yeah.
When if I was in there, I'd be letting fly. That'd be my thing. I'd be fucking rolling to the farter. I'd be servant to the king. I'd have a
Mhm.
fucking castle because of my talents. But she held him for hours and hours and hours, and then would go into this other room and just rip like fucking volcanic farts. I loved them because it was so funny every time.
Mhm. So I think something I wanted you to do in relation to this, let's say you were able to balance your level of hardcore like touring and all that as well as doing that, and you were getting approached as like, okay, let's make a hardcore style Big Brother show, and you could handpick 10 people in the hardcore scene as a general. They have to be alive, but they don't have a say in being able to do that.
So 10 people.
10 people.
Okay. This is tough. Let me pull up like a fest flyer or something
Yeah.
so I can think of some
Pull out your
guys.
contact list.
Pull out my contact. Okay. I'm gonna look at the Sound and Fury lineup since
That's a good
half
that's
half
good
of it was
breath.
just buddies.
Mhm. And again, you're the
Um,
producer here, so you have to,
I'm the
think
producer. I
about
did this, and
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't have a choice.
Yeah, they don't have a choice.
Okay, so first I would put Cola Boy there because he's fucking sick. Jared Carmen from Trap and Rice because he's insane. And I put Will from Gridiron and Never Ending Game.
Talked to him today actually. So,
See,
yeah.
put him in there. I put Joey from Koyo in. Uh,
That's a good pick.
I put Taylor Madison in.
Mhm.
How many is that?
It's 5?
Okay. I'd put Brittany from Pity Sex in because
Mhm.
you got to have women in there.
Mhm.
I would put who from God's Hate would I put in? Maybe Anthony. I put Anthony in.
Okay. Why Anthony?
Oh,
Would
he's
Brody
just
just try to wrestle everyone?
that would not end well. He would it would never happen. That's 6?
7. Right.
7.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm killing it, man. Who's a funny, silly guy?
Or gal. Or
gal,
person.
yeah. I'd put. Let's see. All right, now let me go through the HardLore.
Yes.
Oh, I'd put Bo in there for sure.
Oh yeah.
he would have the worst time. Let's see.
This is a great lineup so far.
This is a fun question. I get to build my Big Brother lineup.
There's a part of me that would love to see this actually transpire.
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome.
It would be both like so chaotic,
miserable.
Yeah,
but
bands might be canceled off of this show.
Guaranteed.
I think you have 2 picks left.
I think I got 2 left.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I'd put John Lopez from King 9 in.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would put Chris Smith from King 9 in.
Oh, okay.
That's easy. Because he's never off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's always like, "Hey." So that would be good. And then what do we got? Who do we got here? Oh, Scott Vogel. We'll put Scott Vogel.
Oh yes, that's a great one. Yeah,
I think he'd have a blast.
Mm-hmm. He'd be like getting people to practice stage diving.
Just talking core to the youth. All he needs, you know.
So I would say for anyone listening to this podcast, there should be either a comment section or some kind of thing where you can input your 10 picks.
Absolutely.
I would love to just read up on those for hours.
Big Brother.
HCBB.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, Bo and the HardLore Pod, and that's something you've been doing like pretty, recently with everything going on. So like, I think it's really cool. And I think more, it's always cool to see people in the hardcore scene who've been doing one thing creatively and then they shift into doing something totally different. So like, tell me about the initial idea of like starting a podcast, or were you like,
sure.
Yeah. Tell me about the day one of that.
So basically, shout out to Knotfest for making it a reality, because they don't have to do that. They just gave us a shot, really. And early pandemic, Bo was like Twitch streaming a lot and whatnot, and would always be like, "Dude, you gotta do something." I don't think that's for me. So even eventually when I tried it, I was like, I don't think I can. Like, video games are like a personal thing, like no joke. So the idea of doing that as me like enjoying entertainment for somebody else's entertainment, I found very quickly to be like kind of off-putting.
Sure. It didn't come natural to you.
Didn't come naturally, just to like kind of entertain people and read a thing while I'm trying to be immersed in this other thing.
Sure.
So, but he was very helpful to me during that. Like, and whenever I had a tech question, Bo was he would help me troubleshoot something or figure something out.
Right.
And that would always be, we would be laughing the entire time. Like, it would just be us on Zoom trying to figure something out, but like in tears laughing about something that was like not recorded and nobody will ever know about again.
Right.
So basically, he was so helpful that when I got this opportunity to do a new I was like, let's do a Tour Stories show for Knotfest, because they were looking for new shows. I was like, let's bring Bo in and have him be my guest. And the pitch wasn't a podcast.
Okay.
The pitch was kind of like a 10 to 30 minute show, like not really formatted as, and that's why the first 2 episodes were recorded together and separated, because it's like 30 minutes and 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It really wasn't that we didn't see it as a podcast at first.
Yeah, it was more
And
like
then
a web series, if anything.
exactly, a web
Okay.
series. And then the second one, we were like, this is a podcast. We
We
started
have
a podcast.
microphones. We're talking for a long time. Yeah.
This is a podcast.
Yeah.
And we're having the best time doing it. It's a lot of work. So, and that's why, like, I'm glad that I was able to do yours, but man, like, wrangling people for a podcast, it's the worst.
Don't even get me started.
It's fucking miserable. So, like, I feel bad that I made you wait a couple weeks, but at the
No,
same time,
you have been
this,
far gracious than some of the other cats I've tried to track down.
thank you. This might be it though. I got my own to worry about.
Right.
It's fucking hard.
Mhm.
People's schedules and things come up and yada yada. But that aspect I do not enjoy.
Mhm.
And that's why when we get to do every now and then we do one with just Bo and I, and like the numbers look good. They're comparable. So as long as we have that where we get to a point where people want the ones of just Bo and I chit-chatting,
Mhm.
I'll be psyched.
Yeah.
But for now, like we'll have like a Danhausen on and it'll just fucking smoke everything. So it's like, all right, I guess we got to interview again.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I realized the more doing this, because we're over 200 episodes, and there's some
That's
people
crazy.
come on for like round 2 as far as the interview is concerned. But I'm really
200?
what's that?
200 episodes?
Mhm.
Congrats, man.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Wow.
It is wild though, because there are some shows and podcasts that I tune in for that it doesn't matter who the guest is. It's just like the reputation of the show is always something that I want to consume. Any new episode. So that's been something I've been trying to shift, where it's like we have the interviews, but we also have different shows as well that work into that way. Like you said, like, hey, even if it's just us, people are gonna still tune in. Versus,
Yeah.
oh, people are only tuning in because this episode has this band person in the title.
And it's like that has a built-in audience. So we put a little more work into it every time.
Sure.
It's just us, so that people are like, "Oh, this is just a Colin and Bo one. I got it. I gotta watch this one."
Right.
That we wanted to get there because those are just easier for us to do.
Mhm.
B, a little more fun. C, easier for us to do.
Yeah, it's like out of the over 200 plus episodes, there have been tons of people that have been like super easy to work with and super accommodating and super great.
Who's the worst?
That's been recorded or hasn't lined up for an interview.
That's been recorded.
Oh, that's been recorded?
Are you allowed to say this as a Canadian? Are you allowed to
What, like this band is never going to come to Canada if I say?
No, are you allowed to disparage people as a Canadian?
Oh, maybe
You
if
guys
I
allowed to be
say
mean?
sorry at the end, it should be fine.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's tough. Because there's definitely people that I've like reached out to that have like confirmed it's in their calendar, and then they've no-showed like
Sick.
almost double digits amount of times. Yeah.
Sorry, man.
I can put one in a friendly way, because I would still love to have this person on the podcast, but I'll drop who has no-showed the most. Michael from Pain of Truth.
Really?
Yeah. And honestly, the last,
that's fucking hilarious.
So I did a podcast with Jesse, who plays bass for Momentum and Abrasion, guitar and Abrasion, and I told him afterwards, and he was like, honestly, that is him, and that is not personal to any degree.
No, dude,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. It's perfect.
The last time he said, sorry, I missed the pod. I was rescuing a cat, and there was a part of, at this point, I'm like, there's no way that you were just.
He was 100% rescuing.
He sent me a photo, and then when I saw him at Hold Your Ground, I was like, how's your cat doing? He's like, oh yeah, he's fat now. So
see,
I'm not trying to put Michael on blast. I love Pain
no.
of Truth, but I would also love for you to get with it and come on the podcast finally.
Get on the pod, brother. I love it. You got ads? You got sponsors?
So it's funny you asked, because we don't have like paid ads, but we've had beverage sponsors.
That's huge. So like product placement.
Yeah, I'm like, just give me some free shit and I'll like plug it to no end.
That's cool.
So this poster is from a
I
local
was gonna
brewery
say,
here.
you fucking raining in beer over there? Or
It's a local brewery here in Calgary, and I just like get a flat a month from them.
Oh, sick.
And then there's
That's an ad.
yeah. I've said this multiple times, and I will keep saying it until it happens. But the girlfriend that's playing hard to get, or the girl that's playing hard to get for me, beverage wise, for sponsorships, is Liquid Death.
Yeah, we want it so bad.
Yeah, and they are down to give free shit, but they're very specific as far as who they're putting their logo attached to. So,
well, let me just say, if I get it before you, I'm very sorry. I'll see what I can do first and foremost.
Yeah,
but I'll be like,
What's a dream sponsorship for your show,
dude? I mean, I might have it locked down. That's the thing. The ones that what's funny is like, you know how you listen to a lot of podcasts. So you know how often fucking Blue Chew comes up.
Blue Chew?
Yeah, you know that one?
Is that the thing that like makes your jaw better?
No, it's the one that makes your something better.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want that one because I can't imagine having a female guest and being like, "Hey, before you answer that question,
let's talk about
get your dick hard." You know, so that terrifies me. But if they're paying me, I'll literally do anything.
Do you think that's a little like uncomfortable if it was like you're having a female guest on and you're sponsored by Manscaped?
I would in no way would I do that live while they were on the show.
Yes,
you know,
live it would be a little weird.
It'd be horrible.
Yeah.
Some kind of food one. What's the there's like a butcher's box or something.
Yeah, there's something.
There's one that I ordered because of the Chris Jericho show. Mm-hmm. So something like that where it's just a bunch of meat.
Do you have like a strategy as far as hitting up people for sponsorships, or do they just come to you?
We're part of an entity.
Right.
So it's not really on us.
So you just like look up at the sky and see what comes down.
Basically, I go like, "What about this, this, and this?" And they go, "We'll see what we can do."
Oh, okay.
But we don't have any yet, so who knows if we ever will. Again, if I get one of those things before you, I'm very sorry.
Well, yeah,
I'll see what I can do.
I mean, I do have a quote unquote person at Liquid Death that I hit up, and
there you go.
I'm pretty sure if you go back to Taylor's episode after that, you might see a giant wall of Liquid Death cans because they sent me an entire flat for myself, and it took me a year to like get through it. But as you see, there's no
huge
Liquid Death behind me. But
it's over. It's gone.
It's over. But
that was a one-time thing.
Well, here's the thing. Now we're just doing story time. Yeah. They had a bunch of Liquid Death they need to get rid of because I don't think I'm allowed to say. It's nothing bad, but they need to get rid of it. They asked how many flats I could take, and I'm like, that's a weird question to ask me. So I said, I send one to my address in Calgary, and then send one to my parents' address in Toronto because my band was playing a couple of shows out there.
Sure.
And then I didn't realize how many cases was a flat.
Yeah, so it's what does a flat entail?
146 times 12 per
12 cans per thing.
Yeah. So I get the first case at my parents' place when we're out there playing shows, and my mom was like livid because it's like, what are we doing with all this water? So we played a show at. What's that?
Does she have an accent?
No, she's really from Colorado though.
I don't know why I was hoping she was British.
No.
What are we gonna do with all this?
What are we gonna do with all this water?
That's what I want. I'm really bummed your mom is American.
Yeah, sorry.
Fine.
So we were playing an indoor DIY skate park and in Hamilton, Ontario. Shout out to the Kill Room, and I brought 55 cases, and literally like kids are leaving the show with like 3 cases each.
Yeah.
And it was so sick. I've also been at that show. I put in between my guitar amp and cab, I put 2 cases of Liquid Death.
That seems unsafe. But you were a local fucking hero to the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
People have never been more hydrated in their goddamn life.
So that's true. So they love you there.
Yeah. So
You're a
here's the
Canadian
thing.
icon.
Here's my grievance. Is like
Okay.
I don't know any other Canadian that rides for them as hard as I do. And knowing that you guys have like the flavored Liquid Deaths, you have like it's just way more accessible.
Oh, you
Here,
don't have that?
so you can get the still or the sparkling only at 7-Elevens and Whole Foods, but in Canada there's like a Whole Foods in Vancouver and maybe one in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's early, it's behind the times as far as it's coming, but like you need someone to fucking have a megaphone to let them know when it's time. And I feel like I'm that person.
It seems like I mean, you've had 200 opportunities to talk to people about Liquid Death. So
Thank you, Colin.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
I mean, you got a guy. I got a guy.
I feel like now you're putting me in this like little bit of a race that I need to like prove it to you that I can get this.
Don't race. It's not fair. I gotta fucking. I'm part of a corporate entity. You know? I'm fucking Ronald McDonald, baby. Don't worry about what.
Is there any part of having your show be a part of that has limited you creatively, or you can do whatever the fuck you want?
Not at all. They've been truly wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why. So I'll never ask why.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, and it was Jay Weinberg from Slipknot who basically got us the gig. So it's like he's a fucking high imperial member of the empire, you know?
Right.
There. So I got the boss telling me that I'm the boss now in certain aspects. So it's been unbelievable.
Speaking of dream guests, Jay, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. Do you have any top 3 guests that you hope to have on HardLore one of these days?
I'd like to have, I think Stickman would be fun from Fury 5. I just feel like we got a lot to talk about. Like James Hetfield or something. Because Bo wants to suck him off so bad. Like that would be fun.
Mr. Hetfield.
Mr. Hetfield.
This episode is sponsored by.
Yeah, exactly. Who else? Third dream guest. Maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, that's a nice pick.
He's a pod pro, dude. So I feel like he'd have fun. He'd be a natural at our format.
Yeah.
And I know that motherfucker's eating some Big Macs. Guaranteed.
What's your strategy and prep as a host of a show? Because I think the more that I've done this, the more I've established like actually how to maneuver a good conversation and how it's like a bit of a dance where it's like I'm not overbearing and the guest isn't just rambling and I'm bored.
It has to be natural, you know, like I get like 5 points prepared, you know. And then we have our kind of show points where it's like the things we'll talk to everybody about.
Yeah.
And you just find a way to balance those within an hour and a half or so. And it hasn't failed us yet. So we'll see. It's really just you got to have a couple personal anecdotes. Like, hey, I can relate to you on this. A couple personal things about them that you want to know about or that you think people want to know about. And then the thing that relates to everybody. Like, hey, what do you, again, like what's your McDonald's order? You eat McDonald's? You vegan or anything?
I'm vegetarian, but I could tell you my McDonald's order.
Like, what would it be?
If I was eating meat, it would be a McDouble, only ketchup.
You're one of those, huh? No onion?
Oh, dude, I can't do onions on burgers.
So I'm not an onion guy either, notoriously. But then McDonald's onions are something else.
I think it's been a while because I think there's a vegan McDonald's option in Europe.
The McPlant.
Is it called the McPlant?
Sure is.
Me and my friends were talking the other day about how Wendy's is like so mid now.
Yeah, I never go there. You know what's funny is though I kind of like the Canadian Wendy's.
Oh, like Wendy's was the very first place that I worked growing up. And it was like, I call it the golden era because it had like frosty parfaits, the mushroom melt just
Poutine.
came out,
Oh.
poutine.
Remember when Dave Thomas died and then they dropped the vanilla frosty?
Is that the order of things?
That was it. It was almost as if Dave was like, it'll never fucking be vanilla, so drop it. And then as soon as he kicks the bucket, the vanilla frosty's out.
That's so interesting. That's like
Betrayal.
that is pure betrayal. That's like I watched a video about like Costco and how the old
Hot
CEO when
dog.
he left is like, if you raise the price of the hot dog, I'm
kill
gonna
you.
fucking kill you.
That's right.
And
That's a hero.
honestly, I think Costco stock, if that were ever to happen, would just tank.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
There better be riots in the streets. But the hot dog went up.
Just people like throwing buns on the ground.
What else you got for me?
Dead
What do
Body.
you wanna- Oh shit.
Yeah.
We're there.
Well, yeah, we're towards the end. We're at the end of the doc, so
Oh, I think the record. If this is November, the record will be out.
okay.
So,
What's the
as
lowdown?
you've heard,
As you've heard.
I'm not gonna say the title just in case, but it's called what it's called.
Okay.
As you've all heard, it's a 4-piece kind of grind core death metal prog band.
Okay.
As you've all heard. This is so weird because this
when
is
you're
like
talking to the future
this is a
self.
month before a
Yeah.
single person has heard it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
it's,
playing bass and vocals? Is that what you
bass
said?
and vocals.
Okay.
And then Taylor's guitar vocals. So we're both the singer.
Damn.
Miles from Apparition is the lead guitar player.
Great band.
And George from Despise You is on drums. So it's just like a wild bunch of guys.
Yeah, that does sound wild.
It was recorded like a year ago.
Hmm.
And in a rare thing for us is generally our bands are like Taylor and I mentally, and then we record, and then we kind of figure out playing live.
Sure.
But in this case, we like got good at playing live before recording a single thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is to like come out the gate swinging as like an incredible live entity.
Right.
So, and the record's wild. So it's a big task.
Okay.
We'll see.
Is it coming out on anything?
Closed casket. It came out on closed casket.
It came out on closed casket. That's right. Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited to be in the future and be listening to it as this podcast
it was a real
drops.
treat to do, man. It was a very different thing. There's and like Taylor wrote the large majority of it, and there's a lot of aspects to it where we have a formula, like whether we're aware of it or not, we do.
Mm-hmm.
And there were certain times where when he was writing, he would know what he should do in the formula and then do the opposite. And it was cool. So
okay. So he would catch himself and then work backwards.
And be like, I'm gonna do something else.
Interesting.
And sometimes I'd have to step in and be like, in this case, the formula works for me. This is the chorus, do it again.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, it's like it's very different. For me in particular, I've always wanted to play bass in a band, so this is like a dream come true. Not totally ideal since I got to balance it with singing. So it's like I get the one time I get the easy job, I got to do the fucking hard shit too. But it's very cool and both our voices are kind of similar. So I think at first it'll be kind of hard for people to tell us apart. And that's why I have to do the kind of like register just because otherwise it's the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the symbolism of both of us singing together kind of finally has been very cool.
Yeah.
And I really truly cannot wait to start playing live with that.
So who stands in the middle of the stage?
I think Taylor would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's guitar vocals. That's the guy.
Yeah. But yeah, there's been times where bands have had the main vocalist on bass in the middle.
Of course. Yeah. The GOAT, is that. But No, he sings a little like more than I do. So it's like a 60-40 type thing.
Cool. Colin, I'm realizing that we skipped one very important point before we head towards the close of this episode.
Probably did.
You hold a lot of pizzas on your Instagram.
Do. Did we talk about God's Hate other than the splash?
Not really.
Did we talk about like the thing I spent more time and energy on?
I mean,
it's fine.
Yeah, unless there's something specifically on God's Hate you want to hit
on. No, not really. It's just like, man,
you guys put out a crushing record and had a wicked Sound and Fury set. What's next for God's Hate?
Good. What's next? I'd like to do another record. It's gonna take a while, though.
Yeah,
I started.
I hope it's not the length of time between the latest record and the one before.
Dude, it really might be.
Okay.
It really might be. Yeah. But I mean, what sucks is like next year, August 18th is on a Friday. 8/18 is a Friday.
So
that's
like, a pretty good.
Theoretically, have it out by then. That'd be sick. But like, I think I will be a corpse.
So if 8/18 ever is on a Friday, any year there should be a new God's Hate record. There should be, not necessarily will be.
That's how it should. The prophecy states that that's how it should be. But yeah, man, that record damn near killed me creatively. I was tapped after that. And then the wrestling songs were kind of like, oh, maybe I'm not. But I think I need to do something melodic now. So
we'll see.
Nothing planned or written yet.
Yeah. But, back to pizza. What are your thoughts on Dave Portnoy's pizza reviews?
Oh, I mean, they're like he's a pretty hateable guy just in terms of like his politics and his ethics and everything. But he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
He's rarely wrong with pizza. So
it's almost like I hate when it's someone like that is good at something that.
Yeah, it's like the heartbreaking, the worst person in this made a great point. That's the Dave Portnoy pizza.
What's different with your pizza review? Like you don't like do any like videos or anything. You just like this pie is
my
great.
Review is if you're looking at it on my page,
it deserves a shout out.
Yeah, it deserves a spot. That's it. There's no rating system. If I didn't post it, you shouldn't go there.
Right.
Yes.
Understood. I know Jay from Mindforce has been on here and he's talked about bad pizza he's had. What is the slice of hell that haunts you?
I think both times it was in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, the worst pizza I've ever had in my life was in Vegas. So sorry, Vegas.
Was it more the crust or the experience?
Like, everything. The crust, dough, cheese, sauce. It was like the unholy
the antichrist of pizzas.
It was truly like I was like, well, wow, everything about this sucks. It's crazy. And that happened twice in Vegas.
At the same spot or just
no different places?
Okay. That's okay.
So it's just a cursed realm.
That sounds like a cursed realm for sure.
It's cursed. Yeah.
To all the Vegas listeners,
send me the spot.
Send Colin and I the spots that are good. Redeem yourself.
I gotta go. I would love to go. I love it there. So
I would love it for pizza, but you gotta prove it to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Colin.
Well, then I'll be at the Bellagio.
Yes. Colin, this has been a great chat. I have one more question before we wrap up. We end every episode with a favorite Mosh related story. So that could be anything that's first to your head. Dude. Could be something that happened to you, something you did, something you were just at a show and witnessing. Whatever's first to your dome is how we end the show.
Can't talk about the ones I did. Okay, just know that. But I told this on the Justice HardLore episode, but Rattel president from Poland.
Okay.
Did the craziest move I've ever seen. This man is moshing hard as fuck, right? There's a kid on the side doing this move, like the "don't hit me." He's wearing glasses.
Oh, he's got his hand and leg up.
He's like this. Yeah.
He's double blocking.
Rattel president reaches through, grabs the glasses off his face, smashes them, keeps moshing. And I was just witnessing this like that was transcendent.
Sure.
That went beyond. That was personal. But I've never seen a more hateful, spiteful mosh maneuver.
I'm gonna cost you $400 right now.
Yeah, and it, like in Poland, who knows what that costs?
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Damn. Well, yeah.
I don't know if I have any personal ones I can share because it's. Oh, well, I mean, there's
the mosh stories doesn't need to be like the most dangerous. It could be the most funny, wholesome.
Oh.
There's a couple ways you could go.
There was one time in Europe with Harm's Way where I was moshing hard as fuck at this fest, like a music fest.
Sure.
And it got to the point where like I felt like taps on my shoulders of people like, please stop. And that felt good.
All the Polish people were telling you to chill the fuck out.
That was Poland would be like, keep fucking going, brother.
Yes.
But no, that was like Czech Republic or something.
Oh, okay.
They don't spin kick there.
Czechs don't spin kick.
Don't. It's a fact.
Well,
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, prove me wrong if there's one person from the Czech Republic that has dope spin kicks.
You got it.
Colin, this has been such a great time. All of your shit will be in the YouTube description and in the show notes and all that shit. Anything you want to shout out, anything you want to plug, or anything you want to send the people off with? Before
HardLore Stories from Tour. Available now.
Subscribe.
Every week. Every Thursday, there's a new one. So check it out. That's been the best job of all time. I really hope that I can do it forever. So as a fellow Potter, I hope that you feel the same and fulfilled in your duty here. Check out the Dead Body record. We worked really hard on it. It probably came out like days ago. So I'm glad that this is coming out now. There's a really special double LP re-release of something coming very soon that we put a lot into. Yeah, exactly. So I hope that people enjoy that. Has certain things on wax for the first time. Wish I could say more. I'm not allowed to. That one I don't know. I don't know yet. But there's a very special.
We don't want to keep pushing this into 2023, and then this episode never comes out.
It's got to be. To be fair, that's got to come in 2022 because it's the 10-year anniversary of something, and then next year is the 10-year anniversary of something else. So we got some shit going on.
People can put the pieces together from
put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah,
and hit it, and please buy it when it.
Yes. Support Colin and all his shit. Dude, this has been a fantastic time.
A blast. Thanks for having me.
I hope that we can do this again sometime in the near future.
Anytime.